let's talk about the single most important financial skill that, honestly, nobody ever teaches you. And it has nothing to do with picking stocks or creating some fancy budget. It's about surviving what you don't see coming.
So, picture this. It's late 1942, Battle of Stalingrad. A German tank unit gets the call to move to the front lines. They've got 104 of the most advanced, most terrifying tanks in the world. But when it's go time, almost none of them worked. And the problem wasn't enemy fire, it was field mice. You heard that right. Mice had nested inside the tanks during the winter and chewed straight through the electrical wiring. An entire unit of million-dollar war machines completely neutralized by something no engineer ever thought to plan for.
You see, that story about the tanks, that's the perfect metaphor for how we're all taught to think about our money. We treat it like this predictable, logical game that you can win if you just get the formulas right on a spreadsheet. But that's a dangerous illusion.
Money isn't a math problem. It's a survival exercise in a world that is jam-packed with financial field mice. The real goal isn't just to get the numbers right. It's to stay in the game long enough for your plans to actually have a chance to work. And today, we are going to completely rewire how you approach the whole thing. So where does it all go wrong? Well, the core of the problem is this constant battle between two parts of you. The part that builds the perfect spreadsheet and the part that actually has to live in the messy, real world. This is the disconnect, right? Your spreadsheet brain thinks in perfect forecasts and optimization. It's cold, it's rational. But your survival brain, the one making decisions at the dinner table when you can't sleep at 2 a.m., it knows the world is all about chaos and uncertainty. It's driven by fear, by doubt, and by the simple need to endure. So why do our perfect financial plans just fall apart so often? It's because we build them for the spreadsheet brain, but then we have to execute them with our survival brain. And that gap between the two, that's where all our financial anxiety comes from. Now, we've all been told the key is to just be more rational, right? To just suppress your emotions. But that's a losing battle. In just a few moments, I'm going to show you why the most successful people don't even try to be coldly rational. Instead, they aim to be reasonable. And that one little shift, that is the secret to real financial peace of mind. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we fix this? Well, it all comes down to one concept that underpins all long-term financial success. It's the thing that separates the people who get rich from the people who stay rich. The secret is called margin of safety. And look, it's not a number, it's not a complicated formula. It's a buffer. It's the breathing room you build between your expectations and the chaos of reality. It's having enough room for error that you can take a hit or a few hits and not get knocked out of the game. The legendary investor Benjamin Graham, he put it perfectly. The whole point of having this buffer is so that you don't need your predictions to be right. You can be wrong, the world can go crazy, and you'll still be okay. Your forecast becomes unnecessary. And don't get this twisted. This is not about being timid or avoiding risk. It's the exact opposite. A margin of safety is what gives you the endurance to stick it out through the inevitable chaos, long enough for the odds to eventually fall in your favor. It's a strategy for winning, not just for not losing. So what happens when you ignore this? What happens when there's zero room for error in your plan? Well, you end up playing a really, really dangerous game. Think about this number for a second, minus 30%, a 30% drop in your investments. A spreadsheet handles that just fine. The numbers just change. But can you handle it mentally? What does that do to your confidence, your sleep, the conversations you have with your spouse? For most of us, a drop like this isn't a number. It's a full-blown crisis. Now, you want to make that bad situation a whole lot worse? Add leverage, debt, to that 30% drop. Leverage is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It takes a routine market downturn, something that's totally survivable, and turns it into a personal catastrophe. It completely eliminates any margin for error. And this is maybe the most crucial point of all. There is a massive difference between a loss and ruin. A loss is temporary. You can recover from a loss. But ruin is permanent. Ruin means you're wiped out. You're forced to sell at the absolute worst time, and you don't get to play anymore. Avoiding ruin at all costs is the only financial rule that truly matters. Okay, so how do we actually build this unbreakable quality into our financial lives? It comes down to a really simple but powerful mental model. I want you to think of your finances like a barbell. On one side, you are extremely paranoid. The vast majority of your money, let's say 90%, is in assets that are incredibly safe, stuff you basically can't lose. This is your survival fund. This guarantees you can weather any storm. But on the other side, with that small 10% remainder, you can be wildly optimistic. You can take big, calculated risks that have huge potential payoffs. The paranoid side ensures you survive, so the optimistic side has a chance to make you thrive. So here's how you put that into practice. First, avoid single points of failure. Don't let your entire life depend on one job or one investment. Second, save for things you can't possibly predict. We're great at saving for a house or a car, but we need to save for the financial field mice. And third, aim to be reasonable, not coldly rational. Make the financial choice that lets you sleep at night, even if it's not the optimal one on a spreadsheet. That's the key we were talking about.
Because ultimately, this is the goal. You have to stop trying to build a plan that predicts the future perfectly. That's impossible. Instead, your job is to build a plan that is guaranteed to survive the future no matter what it decides to throw at you.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Back to those state-of-the-art tanks sitting completely useless in a frozen field.
The German engineers had planned for every conceivable combat scenario. They accounted for every known risk on their spreadsheets, but the biggest threat wasn't something they knew about. It was something that was too small, too ridiculous to even cross their minds. And that's the real lesson here. The most dangerous risks are always the ones you never see coming. So I'll leave you with this question. A job loss, a health crisis, a market crash, some wild, unforeseen global event? We don't know what the field mice are or when they're going to show up, but they will. So I want you to look at your own life, your own plan, and ask yourself, what are my field mice? And what have I done to make sure I can survive them?